Hello, welcome to Ethan Reads. I am, of course, Ethan. And today, for our first review, we will be looking at the what many would consider seminal novel of the post-war era in Japan, Osamu Dazai's 1948 masterwork, No Longer Human. So, the novel is semi-autobiographical in nature. In fact, many have gone so far as to say, and being familiar with the author's life myself, as well as, of course, the plot of the novel, I would agree with this, that it is, in fact, the author's suicide note. Essentially, No Longer Human follows the character of Oba Yuzo. He is, he is, the best way to describe it would be a clown. He is a depressed, depraved, immoral individual who, in order to fit in with broader society, puts on a mask by which he can appear to be humorous, to be sociable, to be the sort of person one would like. But inwardly, he's not even a wolf in sheep's clothing. He's not dangerous. He's incapable of being dangerous to anyone but himself. And, well, spoilers, but the women he ends up with who aren't exactly normal themselves. So, the opening of the novel, it follows a nameless narrator who is given these notebooks, these three notebooks written by Oba, the main character, again, Osamu Dazai stand-in, about 10 years after the two meet. And he ends up reading these notebooks, and it can be presumed, and you will forgive me if I get various plot issues wrong here. It's been about a year since I read it. Um, you can presume that the narrator is the one who ends up publishing these works, which actually makes a degree of sense because No Longer Human was found as a manuscript, I believe, about a week or so after his death, after Osamu Dazai's death, and published about a month following. And so there's an element of purposefulness there in the plot. The plot both recounting the life of Osamu Dazai as a fictionalized series of narratives, both interweaves with his past, his present as he was writing the novel, and his death. In fact, he very easily could be stated to have predicted what would happen after his death. He was a man obsessed with suicide, with ending himself, and he tried it on numerous occasions, as is explored in the work. On that note, Osamu Dazai is a man of aesthetics. He loves women. He loves the appearance of women. He loves, though is grossed out by it because he's a bit of an introvert, he has sex with women, torturously at first, of course. He is a man who becomes enraptured with various women who are like himself, who, due to reasons in their personal lives, are suicidal. He then entrenches himself in their lives, and as happens several times throughout the plot, ends up forming suicide pacts with them, etc. Always surviving. Always surviving. Towards the beginning of the novel, he falls in love with this one woman, or at least something approaching love, and they go into a lake together and die. At least that was the plan. Osamu Dazai survives, or Oba, his stand-in, and spends quite a long time in an asylum afterwards. He, of course, gets out and continues it again until he ends up actually dying. It is not a light-hearted work by any means. It's actually quite depressing. If you are mentally unwell, I would not recommend you read it. In fact, I believe, and I'm not going to even try to pronounce the title in Japanese because I don't speak it and I don't want to get cancelled. I believe the title, when literally translated, is something like disqualified as a person. And that sums up Oba's character. Growing up, he was quite an odd child, very depressed, uh, very maladaptive, unsociable, but at the same time, he wished to be normal or to appear as such. And so he would, at family gatherings or whatever, put on a clownish demeanor. He would crack jokes. He would intentionally fail at even the most mundane tasks in order to make people laugh. Because if they were laughing, they were paying attention to him. And if they were paying attention to him, well, he was doing something right. And as the notebooks, follow one another in chronological order from first to third, we explore his life. We explore his efforts to be a clown, to make himself appear normal, though ultimately appearing quite abnormal in his artificial ways, I guess. So, would I recommend you read it? Well, if you're like me and you're a fan of depressing literature, yes. We're all a little sick like that, I'd reckon. It's definitely a character study. It goes very, very in-depth as to the nature of Oba and ultimately Osamu's character, exploring his failings, his misgivings, his desire to be a person when really, as the title suggests, he has long since lost his humanity. Can be argued, looking at the plot, that he never really had it. So yeah, I would recommend it. Unless, of course, you're suicidal or depressed or even sad in any way, there is no benefit to reading Osamu Dazai if you're feeling in a negative manner. I would not recommend it. It will only make things worse. In terms of a personal rating, though I do, of course, see the appeal and I enjoyed the novel thoroughly, I would not give it a 5 stars. Personally, I'd argue it's more of a 4-star read. It is very well paced, very well written. Characters are good, but there's not a lot to it. It is, at least in the edition I own, I think upwards of 190 pages. So it's not a bulky novel, and I think if it had gone somewhat deeper, it would have been far, far better. Though, of course, it was still ultimately quite good. So yeah, that was my review of Osamu Dazai's No Longer Human. A first review. Probably should have chosen a novel I've read more recently. I feel like I slipped up on a couple of the plot details, but, well, if you're angry at that, post it in the comments. I will not read it. I'm nice like that. Anyway, if you liked it, if you like this review, for whatever reason, please like and subscribe and hit the notification bell. I plan on doing at least one of these a week. I have a little too much time on my hands right now. And if you can tolerate the rather shitty quality of my voice, well, stick around. I've got a fuck ton of books, so I'm going to have to get through them all eventually. Anyway, again, I'm Ethan. Thanks for listening. Ciao.